Yo, what is up, my friends? It is Hippo, and it is a glorious day. Just a little bit ago, the trailer for XO Kitty Season 2 dropped. As I start writing this script, it was 30 minutes ago. Now, for those who don't know, I am an XO Kitty connoisseur. I made a video about Season 1 a while back, and I still think that is one of my favorite videos that I've made. I do make fun of the show a lot. It's a very chaotic, cliche-filled show, but I can't deny the fact that I had so much fun watching Season 1 and do actually like the show. I've been eagerly awaiting Season 2 as a fan and as a content creator, so like those comic book channels that analyze the movie trailers way too closely, I'm gonna do the same thing for XO Kitty. Did anybody ask for that? No. There are actually a lot of details in this trailer that give us some insight into plot points that they've hidden from us, and I have some pretty interesting theories about what might be going down in Season 2. They show a surprising amount of stuff in this trailer, more than I expected to see, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's just get into it. So the trailer starts with Kitty dreaming about her conflict from Season 1, ultimately ending with her getting kicked out of Kiss. She's suddenly woken up by her new roommate, and an important thing to note is that the last two people she sees in her dream are Minho and Yuri. Now, this roommate, I assume, is the new character played by Audrey Hyun. You may know her from Boss Baby, Back in Business, or her YouTube channel where she does covers of songs and makes her own original music, so definitely go check that out and give some support to her. Season 1 of XO Kitty had a decent amount of relative unknowns, and really the entire host of Jenny Han young adult things have had a lot of unknown actors, and I think generally they're pretty good at casting and finding people that deserve a shot, so I think that Audrey Hyun is going to do great, along with some of the new actors that we'll get into later. Maybe she'll sing in that talent show we get to see later. Now, I'm pretty sure this room that we're seeing is at Kiss. I know Kitty gets kicked out, but let's be honest, she's gonna get back in pretty soon. The show wouldn't change the status quo that much, and it looks fairly similar to the two-person dorm that her and that Twitch streamer had.
Welcome to spring semester at the Korean Independent School of Seoul.
Next thing we know, we see Professor Lee welcoming students back to the spring semester. Now, do remember that XO Kitty did not take place over a full school year. It was only the fall semester. So evidently, Kitty gets back to Kiss right where she left off. We see Kitty walking up to and talking to Professor Lee and Alex Finnerty from Melbourne, Australia.
Alex Finnerty from Melbourne, Australia.
And then Q walks up, all excited to see Kitty. Kitty is excited to see him, but then regains her composure and assures everybody that she'll be focusing on her classes. Remember, in Season 1, she struggled a lot in Professor Lee's class. Also, small detail, as Alex and Lee walk away, Lee actually puts his hand on Alex's back. So that father-son relationship that we learned about in the last season is actually blossoming. Next shot, we see Kitty, Yuri, Juliana from Season 1, and someone that I can't quite make out that might be Kitty's new roommate, but could also be some of the characters from last season, Eunice and Mihi. But I'm not sure yet. It's hard to make out these faces. Then we see Kitty, same place, same outfit, looking distraught, so there might be some conflict that takes place here.
Last semester ended with so much drama. This semester, I have my priorities straight. I'm gonna hit the books and finally discover who my mom really was.
In voiceover, Kitty is lamenting about the drama from last season and her desire to avoid this when we see that Kitty is watching old home videos of her mom with Yuri. Then we see Q running track with Kitty, Yuri, and I believe this is Mihi from Season 1 all cheering him on. Then we see Kitty and Minho at some event, probably the welcoming where Professor Lee announces that it's the spring semester, and Kitty tries to go for a high five, but Minho leaves her hanging. Fuck you, Minho. This is a weird attitude shift after the end of last season, especially considering this scene probably takes place pretty early on in Season 2. Maybe something awkward happened between Kitty and Minho that we don't know about yet that happens very early, or Minho is just trying to play it cool to whoever he's talking to off camera that we don't get to see. Next, we see this dance that we'll get more details about later, but you see that Day is kind of standing off to the side, alone and sad. Next up, Yuri is encouraging Kitty to go and date someone she likes while caressing her arm, and Kitty gets all flustered.
Here before.
Okay, I want to try dating girls, but I'm not over Yuri. Plus, things with Mino and I are just complicated.
Next up, we see a lot of this gang at a hot tub resort, and we get to see Sasha Bason's new character, who I think is going to be a new love interest for Kitty. Kitty says that she isn't over Yuri yet, and that her relationship with Minho is still complicated, and then we get to see her and Minho sleuthing. Now, this place that we see them walking into doesn't seem to be the place that they're sleuthing in. They're wearing different outfits, and they don't seem to be trying to be sneaky when they walk into this first location. Next up, we see them talking to this older woman, and she asks if they're a couple, which they become all awkward about. Now, I'm not exactly sure who this is, but if I had to guess, I think it might be like a school counselor or something. This location looks pretty similar to Professor Lee's house that was on campus in season 1, and based off the photos in the back, this is probably this woman's house. It's also the same outfits that they're wearing when they walk into this place, so this is definitely the interior of this place that we see. If anyone knows Korean, maybe the writing on the door will answer our question as to what this place is and who that is. Does it say counselor? Let me know in the comments. Next up, we get a scene of Juliana storming out of a room with Yuri and Kitty upset. Maybe Yuri and Kitty were being too flirty, but also you can see some other people in the background, and I actually think that's probably Eunice and Mihi. Maybe one of them told Juliana that Yuri and Kitty got pretty close while Juliana wasn't around. Then we get the already iconic line,
Believe there's nothing like a friendly face from home. What? Oh my god.
Then Eunice and Mihi freak out about this, and I love how Eunice and Mihi are always color-coded with blue and pink. That's actually also why I think these blurred out characters in the back are probably those two. And that friendly face is none other than Big Boss Peter Kavinsky from To All the Boys I Ever Loved, who dated Kitty's older sister, Lara Jean.
You gonna show me how you squirt or what?
In those movies, he did have a cute little older brother vibe with Kitty, so this is a nice thing to see. Why the hell he's there, I don't know, but I actually think that maybe we're going to be seeing Lara Jean in this season too, and they're saving that as a surprise. Maybe Lara Jean comes to visit her and doesn't say that Peter is coming, so that Kitty will be surprised in the context of the show, and the audience gets to be surprised at the reveal that Lara Jean is there as well. But I don't know. That's just a theory. So next up, we see this shot of Minho and a bunch of the gang opening this door and looking kind of shocked, and I would put money on it that they are not looking at Peter Kavinsky in this scene. I mean, it's very clearly not what we see in the very next shot, but what they're looking at, I don't know. Now, if the characters do know who Peter is, like if Mihi and Eunice are actually freaking out over Peter coming, maybe he's become an influencer of some sort, left off to Stanford and went viral on TikTok, or maybe they're just freaking out over something else. I don't know. Next, we see Kitty's new love interest and her dancing at a nightclub, and pretty quickly cut into this dance number. You can see Q and Kitty dancing and Day leading the charge. Main dancer Day, we love to see it. Then we see this red-coded team right after that, and they're probably evil. I assume that we're going to be rooting against them as they are kind of antagonistic towards Kitty and Day's blue-colored team. But there's a guy standing in front of this red team, and I believe that this is the new character, Mr. Moon, considering the next shot we see is him standing in front of this team in different outfits at a different event, and the writing on the board says Mr. Moon's Young Talent Showcase. Now, I have a lot of things to say about this sequence of events. Firstly, I think this is 3 different scenes spliced together. The dance numbers that we see back to back are pretty clearly on different stages. One is at this public auditorium, whereas one seems to be at Kiss. The 2 stages are very different, and the dance team that I assume will be kind of antagonistic that belongs to Mr. Moon is wearing different outfits in each of these shots. So maybe we get 2 dance competition scenes, or one of just an introduction to this antagonistic team, and then one where Kitty's team competes with them. But this is definitely not all one night. This dancing subplot that we only see a few seconds of is probably actually going to be a major plot point for most of the season. Also, who is Mr. Moon? Well, I have an interesting thought about that. In a lot of the press releases that we've gotten leading up to the release of season 2, the character of Minho has been addressed as Minho Moon. Now, this could be a mistake from some of these independent sources, but if Netflix is supplying them like the names and cast lists and they're giving the name as Minho Moon, maybe Mr. Moon is Minho's dad. Remember, we don't know anything about Minho's dad in season 1 besides the fact that he's incredibly absent. So there's a lot of room to work with that character, and that would push more into my theory of this being a sort of antagonistic character. We see Q and his new love interest at the Young Talent Showcase, and Q's new love interest is played by Joshua Lee. Kitty passes out at the track we saw Q running on earlier. Then she says wow to, I think, Yuri and Juliana, probably. And then we see Q and Day giving each other a crisp high five because, of course, they're boys. We see Q kissing his new love interest, Minho and Kitty about to kiss, but then they don't. Maybe this kiss gets interrupted. That does happen a lot in this show. And then Yuri and Juliana kissing. Q and Kitty sit at some event. I assume this is that same introduction with Professor Lee and the one where Minho leaves her hanging. Q probably fills that empty seat after that. Then Minho and Kitty are in this public setting and Minho is saying bye, but they both seem happy, so this doesn't seem to be like a grand departure scene. Next up, we see the gang taking this group selfie, and Eunice is with them, actually. Now, this is the same dance that we saw earlier, where Day is kind of sad and off to the side alone. As you can see, he's wearing the same flower in both of those scenes on his tux. So he starts this event not lonely, with his friends, and I actually have a thought about that too. In a behind-the-scenes photo that we've gotten, Eunice is awfully touchy with Day here. So I think this scene could be one of two things. One, Day goes with the friend group, but as they all separate into their own dates, Day is left alone and Eunice goes up to him after that shot that we saw and asks him out or expresses interest in him. Or Day goes to this dance with Eunice as a date because she asked him, or vice versa, but then they have some sort of conflict or breakup and Day is left alone without a date after all. Then we see Big Boss Peter Kavinsky validating Kitty, and it's a pretty nice line.
Or Kitty Shawn, frickin' Cubby. Don't you forget it.
And then a shot of Kitty satisfied and happy with a shallow depth of field, and that's the trailer. Hopefully I've gotten every single thing right, but yeah, that was pretty fun to analyze. I hope you enjoyed. If I missed anything that you noticed, definitely let me know in the comments, or just let me know what you think of my theories. Definitely go watch my older XO Kitty video, and definitely stay tuned for the one I'm going to be doing for season 2 when that drops in its entirety on January 16th. I also did a video about the summer I turned pretty, so if this video is positively received, maybe I'll analyze the trailer for season 3 of that. Other than that, make sure to like, subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Hippo out.